This video is going to introduce the observation studies and just go over the requirements and let you know of some of the expectations I have for your observation studies. You will be doing one of these each week, and this is something that you could technically work on ahead of time I know this will follow your readings in the book, so you want to make sure you're familiar with the period that we're covering. But as you sort of start learning about the history or even flipping ahead in your book, you can see that you might stumble upon something that you find to be psychedelic or something that you feel like would fit into cubism or something like that. So feel free to kind of, look ahead for these, but I'm just going to explain how these work and what my expectations are. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be observing the world around you and note how the current design have been inspired and affected by trends from the past, trends from history. So this first one, the first couple chapters in your book are going to talk about the influence of Victorian motifs and woodcut posters. So you're going to look for something that's been graphic designed out in the world that is influenced by either Victorian motifs or woodcut posters. You don't have to do both. What I mean by woodcut posters is like letterpress. If you think about letterpress and wood type, Victorian motifs would be something that's florally, or something that you would see on what you would have seen on like a vintage perfume bottle, but somebody currently designing perfume is using that kind of floral embellishments and things like that. So I want to make sure you note, one, that your examples must be something that you find in person. So you're not using Google, you're not using a search engine. I want you to go out into the world. All of you probably either have part-time jobs, or you go grocery shopping, or you have to visit the drugstore. I find that drugstores, grocery stores, bookstores are really great resources for finding these examples. So you also have to note that these are things that need to be designed within the last 10 years. So if it's an album cover, you want to make sure that the publishing date of that album isn't any older than 2014, 2015. You also want to note that you don't show examples of fine art, architecture, or industrial design. So what I mean by that is I don't want to see something like a lamp in your house or a rug that's got Victorian motifs or anything with architecture. This has to be graphic design. And what I mean by that is that it has to have typography on it. The biggest thing that separates graphic design from the fine arts is the use of typography. There's a message, there's a headline, there's body copy, there's a call to action of some kind. So definitely read through this and make sure you understand it. If you have any questions, you could, even if you find an example and you're not sure, you could shoot me an email and show it to me. I'd be happy to take a look ahead of time. But I can tell you that really great examples can be found in the aisles that you wouldn't expect. Go to the wine aisle. Wine labels are awesome designs, and a lot of times are very artistic, and they still have copy. They've got the wine, the vineyard logo, they've got the vintage, other text on it. Bookstores are great, lots of book covers. Packaging, beer packaging is really cool. Sometimes like face lotion and shampoos and different things like that have really good examples. If you happen to go to a bookstore and you're flipping through magazines and you see an advertisement that has influence from one of these periods, that's a great example, and you can take a quick photo of that. I just need to make sure that it is something that you're not finding on the internet, because to me that feels like cheating. So what you'll do is you will take a picture of the example that you found that fits the assignment requirements. In this case, it's Victorian motifs or woodcut posters. And you're going to write a short essay, and this has to be at least 250 to 300 words. And I want you to tell me where you found it, and then what qualities you see that reflect the traits of the observed style that you learned from the lectures of the textbook. So you must compare your example and something that you found in the textbook. That's how I'm going to know that you reference back to what you've been reading or what you discovered in one of the lectures. And then make sure your essay is grammatically correct, that you're using good sentence structure, that proper spelling, all that good stuff. So you can use, you could use Word, InDesign, you can use Google Docs. No matter what you use, you want to make sure that you export the work as a PDF, and the image and the text should all be in the same file and really should just fit on one page. So once you submit, then you'll comment on 4 of your peers' observation studies. Obviously, I think there's only 3 of you in this class. So the classes, if there's a few of you, you'll still respond. If there's a lot of you, you'll just make sure you'll be assigned somebody to respond to. And these are due, actually, I need to change these. These are due on Thursdays. I'll fix that. I'll fix that on the Blackboard. They're due on Thursdays. You'll comment to your classmates by the next day, which will be Friday. So I've also included a successful observation study submission, and this is actually for observation 2, which is Art Nouveau. So you can see the example here, and then you can read the students' response, and you can see that they reference back to something from the book. They talk about the different aspects that they find that it references the Art Nouveau style. So this is something you can kind of reference just to kind of see what my expectations are. But I just wanted to explain that a little bit and just really stress the importance of making sure it's something that's been graphic design, not fine art, architecture, interior design, all that kind of stuff. And then just make sure you read through these carefully. And once you get a couple under your belt, I think that they'll start to flow. And again, if you want to, if you find an example and want to make sure that it's, something that is okay before you make your submission, feel free to email me and I can let you know either way. But I hope you have fun with this project. It's really fun to see how all of these movements are still being that designers are still inspired by a lot of these movements, and they're still coming back into modern design today. So I look forward to seeing what you guys find.